AITA for telling my friend it's her fault for getting married and having kids late because the world won't wait on her now. I, 39F, have a 6-person girl group since college, 3739F, and that includes Mary, 38F. We've been close throughout the years and have been at milestone events for each other. Mary just had a baby and is completely fitting the crazy new mother stereotype. In college, Mary has always been someone who had to make it known that she was unique, different from the rest of us, which wasn't as draining then as it has become now. For starters, all other women in our circle got married between the ages of 22-27, and we all have multiple kids. So the 5 of us were able to experience those milestones alongside one another and got closer as we shared similar lifestyles. Mary was very adamant on not settling until her 30s because she wanted to travel and have different experiences, which we all supported. Regardless, she would continue to make comments about how she's so lucky unlike us because we're tied down with husbands and babies. I think this is where she grew resentment towards us because we were in different places in life and she was upset. We couldn't have our group be similar to how it was in college. Then into our mid-30s, it became a whole saga of she's getting older and can't find a husband because all the good men are married or divorced with kids. When she finally got married, many could not attend because it was a destination event and child-free during COVID. This caused a fight because she said how she was there for us during our weddings, but we couldn't put aside a week for her. We had all told her how we wished we could, but it simply was not financially feasible and didn't logistically work with our kids. But she just refused to hear us out and was simply so inconsiderate about our lives and families, saying we were horrible friends. Now, Mary just gave birth to her first child, and I was very excited for her. The only issue is that she moved from our state to a very remote place that's only accessible by a 6-HR car ride. Her baby is 6 months old, and none of us have been able to go up to visit her. I think she's been having a wrong idea of what a village is and has essentially demanded in our group chat that we come up for the holidays and help her out because she's having a hard time adjusting to mom life. But this would entail we all take a week off, arrange childcare, figure out transportation, and book hotels during the holidays. It's gotten to the point where she's posting cryptic messages on Facebook, bashing fake friends who won't be there for her. As much as I wish I could, I cannot physically support her in the way she needs me to do in this stage of life. It would have been completely different if she still lived in our city, and this was earlier in life when we had less commitments priorities. So I told her this and that if she was hoping for this big village and constant support, she should have thought about that when planning out her life, because we can't all just pause our lives for her. So, AITA for insulting my parents after they said they didn't want me to marry someone with my fiancé's name. My fiancé, Lyric, and I have been together for 5 years now, and I proposed to her recently. Her family were super happy for us, but mine were less so. My siblings were fine, though they all think I'm too young to get engaged. I'm 23. My parents are where the problem arises. They were always a little surprised that my fiancé's name is actually Lyric. When they first met her, they asked what her real name was. They dropped it, but I could tell there was a WTF going on in their heads. I told them they had such a strong reaction. They said they had never met someone with the name before. I pointed out that they had, just one person, but still. They were never outright rude to her, though, so I kept an eye on things between them, and she didn't feel like they were weird with her or rude. And I checked in with her when we were around my family, just to be sure. It was only when we announced the engagement that my parents told me I couldn't possibly marry someone named Lyric. And what would people think about me being married to one of those people who was given a ridiculous name by her parents and who chose to keep it as an adult, instead of changing it to an actual name versus something her parents decided would make her cool and stand out? They said, "This is the real world, and people named Lyric, Ryder, Jaden, Sky, Meadow, Rosie, Indy, Katniss, Khaleesi, Brinley, Honey, etc. are the kind of people who get passed up for jobs and mocked behind their backs and pitied for sticking with something their parents saddled them with. They told me they did not want me to marry someone named Lyric, and I could find a respectable person who was not white trailer trash and clearly out to be an embarrassment to herself by proudly holding on to a name like Lyric. I told my parents they were wrong to say that, and I would not let them just insult Lyric like that without consequence. They said it's her parents they feel more disgusted by, but clearly she has been a bad influence. And what about my future kids with Lyric? Are they supposed to just accept having a little apple, Zoo, and Ireland running around? They said they could not honestly accept a Lyric into the family. I told them they were being so judgmental and harsh on Lyric and her parents and the parents who use names they don't like in general when they are the people who create problems in the first place. I said it was disgusting that they were being so awful about this, and to imply that Lyric isn't good enough because of her name shows how nasty and judgmental they are. I told them they should look at themselves before judging others like that. I told them it was them I was embarrassed by, not Lyric. I also told them not to worry about welcoming Lyric into the family because we wouldn't want to be part of their family. I walked away from them at that point, and I blocked them, but they got to my siblings who said I should never have insulted our parents, and I should be grown enough to handle an argument better. AITA for forcing my kid to get a job, even though it hurts her social life at school. So my daughter, Sophia, is 16, and she goes to a private school that a lot of the richer families send their kids. My wife works there, so we get a huge discount on the price. I would prefer to send the kids to public school, but our school district sucks a lot, so private it is. I truly don't like how the kids act at that school. The best way is that they are snobby. My breaking point for this was my son sent a video of my daughter being extremely rude to a fast food worker. My wife and I discussed it, and we agreed she needed to get a job so she will understand that those people deserve respect and how awful it feels for a customer to be a jerk. So she has been working at Target and dealing with all the customers. She hates it, and it got out in school she has a job. This resulted in people not inviting her out like they used to since she is lame for having a job. My wife wants to let her quit her job, and we got in an argument about it. I think it's better she learns they were never her friends in the first place, and she should keep her job. My wife thinks I am unfair a jerk, and Sophia hates me at the moment. AITA for this. AITA for leaving my own baby shower. My husband, 38M, and I, 36F, are finally expecting a child together after years of trying, and we're both super excited. Due to how long it's taken to get pregnant, I'm being careful over who I'm telling and how I'm celebrating, especially given the risk of miscarriage. I'm 7 months along. My husband is close to his 2 female first cousins, N, 40F, and A, 45F, both of whom have kids. My husband and I both immigrated to our current country from different countries and met here as adults. In my culture, we don't have baby showers prior to birth due to caution about not celebrating too much before giving birth to a live baby, while in my husband's culture, baby showers are common. Both N and A had baby showers, which is fine. I attended and gave them gifts. But now that I'm pregnant, they're asking me when my baby shower is going to be. I've told them repeatedly that I'm not going to have one. They're refused to acknowledge this and have continued to ask. My Mill and my husband's aunt are also asking, but have been more polite when I've explained why I don't want one. The cousins are disappointed that we're not having a baby shower since they're close to my husband. This weekend, N invited me for a family dinner at her house, and it turned out to be a surprise baby shower for us. Decorations, games, gifts, the whole shebang. My family live a few states away, so it was just my husband's family and friends in attendance. I flipped out. I had told them repeatedly that I don't want a baby shower because I'm being superstitious about finally having a healthy baby. I burst into tears and told them that if they weren't going to listen to me, then they weren't going to meet my baby after the birth. My mill had driven me there, so I ordered an Uber and went home without telling them. Apparently, they called my husband in a panic because I had just left, and my husband got upset at me for leaving when his family was just trying to do a nice thing for me. I said that doing a nice thing would have been to respect my wishes. When I complained to my mother, she was surprised and said that she hadn't heard anything about this until now, so apparently nobody on my side was even consulted. My husband and his family are upset at me for not being grateful about the baby shower, and my husband said that I should have just sat through it. I say that I shouldn't have to tolerate something that goes against my cultural practices when it doesn't hurt anyone. My husband and I can afford to buy stuff for our baby, so it's not about the gifts. And yes, I know how expensive things can get for babies. It's more that I don't want unnecessary, unwanted stuff cluttering our home. My husband wants to keep the gifts because his family went to the trouble of buying them, whereas I want to donate them. AITA for just leaving my baby shower when I didn't want one and not being more grateful. AITA for letting one of my sisters live with me and not even letting the other one visit. My mom has been pressuring me, 37F lately, to have my younger sister, Heidi, 16F, visit my wife and I. She says Heidi has been really pushing for it, especially because I live really close to NYC, and she wants to see more of the art scene. I've been trying to politely avoid the subject and have just said that she's too young, but they won't let it go. Now they're throwing in my face that I didn't think my other sister, Dawn, was too young when I was taking her for summers, and she was almost a year younger when that started. I don't see it the same way. Yes, Dawn was almost a year younger when I was taking her for entire summers, but it was a completely different situation. For one, when she was 15, I was 19. When Heidi was born, I was 22. Dawn is and was my peer, not someone that could easily be my child. 2. The situation was completely different. I was taking her for entire summers because, unlike Heidi, Dawn and I didn't really have parents. We had a stepdad who demanded that we be as invisible as possible, different guy, and a mom who completely on board with that, which meant that the entire expectations around it were different. Also, as much as I don't want to act like 2004 was a different world, it kind of was, and there were specific subculture things that made it even more of a different situation. 3. Maybe because of who we are, maybe because of the world and what was happening at home. But Dawn at 15 was so much more independent and self-possessed than Heidi is at 16. Dawn was running around the country with paper maps, a flip phone, and dreams with no issues. I saw Heidi stutter trying to order at McDonald's 2 months ago. Dawn didn't spend her life expecting me to hold her hand through so much as the mall, while Mommy and Daddy called me every 2 hours to check in. We were peers who could still both live our lives and just hang out, and it didn't come with extra intrusions. So yeah, I was a lot more okay with having Dawn with me for summers when I was in college, and now don't even want Heidi coming to visit me alone for even a week. I'd like it to be different, but it's just not the same thing. Now, my mom is mad at me for treating my sisters differently. She's crying that I don't love Heidi the same as Dawn, that I'm not giving them equal opportunities and punishing her for not being born earlier. I don't think I'm in the wrong here. I think that the time has just passed, and unfortunately, we are just going to have a different relationship.